Add the stage. There we are. Ah! Oh, they've changed so many things. I hope you can hear me right now. Let me get over to comments. Comments. Give me a thumbs up. Somebody say, can you hear me? Yay! They've changed my whole streaming platform. I don't know who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Let me scroll to the bottom. Yes. Okay. Sound is good. Yay. Thank goodness. Because I was like, I was expecting to be there and I wasn't there. And I what? Ah! I hate when updates happen that you don't know about. It's one thing when they announce there's an update. It's like, thank goodness. It's like, and I think it was Dale. Dale, no one was smashing on Lightburn last week when we were talking about the updates with Lightburn. We all love Lightburn. I don't talk about any other software than Lightburn. And that's because I love Lightburn. But I would love to be able to see in advance of the updates what the updates are. But in this case, I had updates taking place with my streaming software that not only did I not know about, I was unaware of. I'm like, where am I? Who's what? Ah! So here we are. Hey, y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and we are live in the world of Hobo with Wood, what it is. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight. This is my prototype. I was approached and asked by one of my patrons to design a birdhouse. Now they weren't specific about a birdhouse. They said, "Hey, will you design a birdhouse?" That's about saying, you know what? I drive a car. Or I drive a truck. There are so many variables that come into play. No, all cars are not created equal. Not all trucks are created equal. Not all birdhouses are the same thing, nor are they designed the same way. I mean, you wouldn't make a birdhouse for an owl that you would expect a hummingbird to use, right? Yeah, well, I never thought about it until I started to design a birdhouse. There are so many things and so many factors and so many options and possibilities. And then depending on what website you look at, if it's the Audubon Society or the something from the national government, from what you get conflicting information, or you get not conflicting information, but you get information. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to make a birdhouse for a bluebird, then a bluebird needs this and this only. But if you do this for a titmouse, and I just like saying titmouse, and a titmouse? What's a titmouse? I have no idea. We'll have to Google that together, a titmouse. But a titmouse and a bluebird might share the same dwelling. Titmouse. Sorry. But different websites you go to when you are going to design your birdhouses will give you different suggestions and different information about what might work, and some that are going to be very species specific, and then some that will be accommodating to 6 species at one time. And what I've learned, and I've learned so much designing this birdhouse, more than I want to, because I'm not a bird watcher. Don't care anything about watching birds. Now, you want to talk about squirrels? We'll talk about squirrels all day long. But birds are not my feather. I'm not. That's not me. But I posted this, and this is the prototype. This was the first one, and we're going to make changes to this design in this stream tonight using your feedback and some of your suggestions, along with what I've learned from putting this together and how this works. And I got it. But you can't please everybody. You just can't. And it's funny. It's like, okay, well, I put this together, and I put it on, and I did it. I put it on the website out there in Rowley and in the Diode Laser group and in my group and a few others about being a Bluebird birdhouse. Well, bluebirds don't use perches. Bluebirds do not use a perch. They don't need a perch. But what is nice is to have kerf cuts in the face of the front and on the interior, not just on the front, but on the interior, which allows the fledglings or the other birds that they'll actually land on that and use those cuts instead of a perch. But the titmouse might use the perch. And when I went to the Audubon Society and a few other websites, this particular design was accommodating to half a dozen different species. While that's good, the bad thing is, and because I don't know what I don't know, and what I don't know is anything about birds, except for the one finger salute peace sign. You know, I know that bird. what was I give you the one? Somebody put it in the comments? How did oh fudge the Clampets, Jethro? How did Jethro say it? They gave him a one finger peace sign. I know that. But anyway, squirrel. The problem with having a birdhouse that accommodates 6 different species, there are some birds apparently that are predatory, and they will come in and kick the other bird out and get rid of it. So if the titmouse prefers a perch where the bluebird doesn't, then you don't want the perch when you only want bluebirds, because the titmouse needs a perch. And if the perch wasn't there, then the titmouse wouldn't be there. I don't know. People ask me for a birdhouse, and I did a birdhouse, and now I'm still figuring it out. But what I have figured out, and what we're going to look at in this video, in this live stream, is we're going to look at this design as is and all the mistakes that are there now and how we're going to correct them without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're not going to start from scratch. But if you have any questions about how I got to there, we'll discuss those too. But we're going to take this and renovate it. Goodness knows, anybody who's a patron knows I'm all about renovations. But we're also going to be doing some giveaways in this stream. In fact, we got 85 people watching now. I apologize. They have changed this streaming video unbeknownst to me, and media assets. No, I gotta find the giveaway. The giveaway used to be right here. I go right there and I do. We're going to give away a lot of stuff in this. We're going to give away some stuff in the stream. So if you haven't noticed, I'm wearing a new hat. It's the Hobo Nation Laserologist. I need to focus a little bit. Nope, wrong way, Conway. Well, maybe I didn't need to focus. But it's the Hobo Nation Laserologist. We're going to give away a few hats. So we're going to give away a few T-shirts. And I got to find out where the giveaway's at, because they moved it from where it used to be. And I need that. And I wished I had known they had moved it. Comments. We're going to go in here. In fact, let me before I find it, let me scroll up here. And here we go. This is new to me. This is new. I've never seen this before. Moses, Paul, Perfect, Woodcraft. Welcome. according to this, you are a new YouTube member. I've never seen that before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your support. So, comment, but put this up here. Any of you guys who are regulars and you've been here, you know this. I don't want banners. I want assets. I don't know. I don't want assets. Yeah, I do. Oh, they moved everything. Oh my god. Banners. Oh, there we go. There we go. So, if you're new to the stream, look at this and read this. This is important. If you have questions, put 3 question marks before your question, not after, before your question, and that'll jump out at me and I'll see it and we'll address it. Comments the same way, exclamation points. Let's see here. And who was that? Who was that? Who was that? We had some comedians in the stream before I got here. Jeff. Why do ducks have tail feathers? Well, I seen that, and immediately I'm thinking, well, knowing a little bit about flight, and I'm like, okay, well, it has to do with aeronautical. Helps them when they're in the air and when they're coming down to land, and with the different, lifts and vertical, helps them land. No, it's to cover up the butt quacks. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. All right, let's see here. I got to get down here. There we go. Like here's a comment that Chris wanted me to see. My pet wedge-tailed eagle won't fit in that birdhouse, so I won't really have a pet one. Yeah, wedge-tailed eagle. Don't know that one. But this is what I promise you, Chris, is what you might take away from this video. You not so much, because you know as much or more than I do. But anyone who is not familiar with Lightburn, after they leave this stream tonight, they'll be able to take a concept like this and be able to scale it up for an owl or whatever eagle you said you had. It'd be easy to do. And then Moses, Paul Perfect. He did not put his exclamation, but I just seen it because it was just underneath the last one. Titmice is a small gray songbird. I just like saying titmouse, because I'm a 13-year-old in a 102-year-old body. Exclamation points. There are birds that will lay their eggs in another bird. Yes. It's called a brown-headed cowbird, and it's called a brood parasitism. Parasitas. In other words, they're going to be a parasitic creature where they'll lay their eggs in another one's nest and have that other bird give birth to their and maybe even raise their kids. I don't know how parasitic it gets. But looking, I'm gonna look for the comments, and then we're gonna get to the business. Not new, had to update my card, lost my wallet, and had everything. Okay. Not new. Okay, Moses. Well, the fact that it acknowledged you as a new one was new to me. All right, and I've got an emergency I've got to go take care of. So give me 30 seconds while I go open the door, and I'll be right back. I promise. Don't go nowhere. Sorry about that, but when you're not your own boss, you have to do what you're told when you're told. Oh, all right. Let's see here. Titmouse looks remarkably like a blue jay. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Never knew that. Neither did I. I have thought of. I was looking at a. Wow, Jim, I didn't know that. There, because I see blue jays all the time, thinking they're blue jays, but maybe I'm not looking at a blue jay. A bird's nest could easily be converted to a bat's nest. Oh, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They have a different, and this is not that different from a bat's nest. Bats are weird. Oh, I don't like bats. I want to get through these, then we're going to get to the design. Cuckoos do the same and throw the. Oh wow, really? I did not know that. So I was aware of parasitic egg laying, where birds would lay eggs in other nests, but to have them throw the other ones out, that's just wow. I mean that. Hmm. Yeah, bat's nest, bat house. Yes, they're very narrow, very narrow. My previous oh, I didn't mean to do that. They call them bat boxes. Yep. My previous real estate, not real estate, commercial building that I sold, the entire back wall is a cinder block wall. The rest of the house is all steel, but the back wall is a cinder block. And that cinder block is a very narrow cinder block. It was built in 1971. And that entire wall at this time of year is when the bats migrate and start filling up the walls. And they are the eastern brown bat or the brown bat. They're an endangered species. So I couldn't do anything about them. And they would fill up the entire wall of that space. It was 40 feet long. And there were only about 2 or 3 places that they would come out. And at the right time at dusk, you go out there and just watch. Dive bomb, dive bomb, dive bomb, dive. It was nuts. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And bats have got a unfortunate let me mute that. An unfortunate reputation, because bats are very, very beneficial. They're a great mosquito controller. Mute, thank you. So bats are great to have around, but whenever they're in your building and you want to get rid of them, sorry, they're endangered. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Deal with it. All right. I got to get through the. Okay, we're done. We're done. Wait a minute. I said I got another comment. A bat's nest had the opening in the bottom. Yeah, not a hole in the front. Okay. Yeah, because they crawl in and then crawl. Yeah. Yep. Oh, nope. A dog undercoat is perfect for bird nesting. Don't know what a dog undercoat. Don't know what you're talking about there, Moses. In the UK, if we get bats in the loft, we can't get them removed. They are protected. Yeah. And like I said, bats are actually, they're not terrible. I mean, they're flying rats, but they're actually better to have around than a rat. All right. Marking this spot, and we're moving on. Marking. Okay. So let's jump over here at Lightburn and take a look at this design. And no, I was looking for that giveaway. I was looking for a giveaway. Media. In fact, you know what? I might have to go over here to a different. I'm talking to you here. There you are. But I got to go over here and find where they have moved my giveaway to. Had I known they had moved it, I would have done this prior to going live. I mean, wouldn't that make sense? All right. All right. I've already created the live. I've already, are y'all engaged? Because it says engage the audience. Engage the audience in a new tab. Open the StreamYard giveaway page. New giveaway page. Choose a live stream. Hanging with Hobo live. All right, here we go. So, as I said, these are new. This is the Hobo Nation laserologist, and if I like cats, especially if I need a haircut, like now. Hats are a great way to hide the fact you need a haircut. I'm going to give away one of these hats, the Hobo Nation laserologist. This is a really, really, really cool hat with the contrasting trim. If you would like to have a Hobo Nation laserologist ball cap, I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're in the United States or if you're in that funky down under. Hey, Chris. All you need to do is put in, let's do hashtag my hat. Start collecting. And so it'll be no spaces, no dashes, just so everybody knows what it's. There you go. Andy H did it correct. It'll be hashtag my hat with no spaces. So if you guys see what Andy did, copy. If you would like to have a free hat, put in there hashtag my hat, and we're going to give that up in just a few minutes and send that out. So, in fact, let me switch. There we go. Like that. Hashtag my hat, no spaces, no dashes. 38 of you've already entered already. 38. Yep. Everybody. Sim, my attorney out of France. I don't know if caps makes a difference or not, but just in case it does, take your caps lock off and do it again in all lowercase, because it does not matter how many times you enter. One entry is all you get. So, but do it all lowercase, my hat, and we'll send one of these out to whoever the lucky person is, and we'll draw that in just a minute. So my hat, no spaces, all lowercase. All right, so this was my prototype, and I'm trying to figure out, do I like it? Do I not like it? What do I need to change? What doesn't work? And if you and I gotta Google this because I don't know. I gotta Google it. Oh, what they call them? Oh, come on now. There we go. Oh, I thought there was a better word than that. I'm pretty sure I've heard it made reference to in the movies and the comedies, but I am not, believe it or not, I'm not a twitcher and I'm not a birder, but there was a scientific name, and ornithologist. There we go. I am not, full disclaimer, I am not an ornithologist. So I don't know what I'm talking about. But I will share with you what I have learned by doing some basic Google searches in the Audubon Society and a few other bird watching, because if you want to make a birdhouse and you want to make it for a very, 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 very specific bird, well, then You need to do very, 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 very specific things, such as I posted on the Facebook group Hobo with Wood and the Diode Laser group and Hobby the Rolly Automation group that this was a Bluebird birdhouse, and I was quickly informed Bluebirds do not need a perch. The perch is not necessary. Get rid of the perch. You don't need a perch. But the one thing I did not know about, and I have since learned, is that when on the inside of the box, you do need to put grooves on the inside of the box for the fledglings to be able to hold on to and crawl up to get out of the nest. And okay, all right. I didn't do that on the prototype because it is the prototype. But people who said, hey, that's not a Bluebird net or box because Bluebird birdhouses do not need the perch. Instead, they need the notches on the interior and the exterior. And I'm going to show you how you can do that using a diode. But if you have a skill saw, it's easier to do with a skill saw or a table saw than it is to do with, or not easier, faster to do with a mechanical device versus the diode. All right, so the entries have stopped. We got 53 of you out of 99, which I don't blame you because that sounds about right. Maybe half of you even want to wear a hat. You know, it's like a hat. I don't want to wear a hat. But 53 entries, and we're going to go over here now, and we're going to draw for our first winner for a Hobo Nation Laserologist ball cap. So let's switch. And we're going to draw. And our lucky winner is 262 Workshop Creations. 262 Workshop Creations. You are the first ever to have a Hobo Nation Laserologist ball cap. So send me an email to hobowithwood@gmail.com. hobowithwood@gmail.com. In fact, let's put it, let's see here, hobowithwood@gmail.com. I think I spelled it right. Nope, I didn't. .com. hobowithwood@gmail.com. I would just put that in the comments. Send me your information, your shipping information, 262 Workshop Creations, and I'll send you your free Hobo Nation Laserologist ball cap. Yay! All right, so let me go back up here to my mark. That's all the entries. Done, done, done. Some people just cannot follow instructions. They just, no matter what, they just cannot follow instructions. Yep, Craig said it. Can't follow instructions, but he knew what I was looking for. Ornithologist. All right, good. All right, marking, and we're going to do more giveaways throughout the stream. We're not going to do just at the end of the stream, so you have to wait here for the whole time. If all you wanted was a free ball cap, well, 262 workshops, he could sign out and be gone. But you might want to hang around. He might get a T-shirt to go with his hat. All right. Refresh. That's good. All right. Now, let's go over to YouTube. Not YouTube. Over to Lightstream. Light burn. All right. Switch. All right. So, before I switch, I hit the switch button, but it didn't switch. Something that... All right. This is actually a pretty cool piece. Really is. It's all cedar. and it's all natural except for the screws. But the screws are environmentally friendly. There's no glue. There's no finishes, no stains, no chemicals. This is all just natural cedar, which I understand is the best way to do it according to the website I've read, because I don't know anything about birds. But one of the things I'm going to change in this video is what I had to do here. At the way I've got this designed, I've got 2 screws in here right now, and I'm going to take this screw out over here. And once I take this screw out, oh, there it is. I can pull out this bottom pin, and now this pivots, so you got to clean out, because at the end of the season you need to get rid of the old nesting material for the next season, and so that pivots up, and now you've got clean it out, bye, done, gone. But when I made the design, not knowing what I don't know, that's why I do not like to put any of my designs on hobowithwood.com until I've built them and tested them, because this, while it looks okay, this was a fail. This was a no bueno. This is no good. All right. And we're going to fix a lot of the things about this design that are no good, but we're going to look at the basic concept and how easy it is to set up a birdhouse. But this, I think that's really cool, the way that works. I'm not a big fan of hinged boxes, but this, as you see, I got 4 screws holding that on there, and that's a bamboo dowel rod, and with that's going to hold up and outlast the cedar, I believe. But that, and then I've got a dowel rod. What I've got to change is where the location is for this dowel rod, and then I'm open to your suggestions, because right now that dowel rod will go in and lock into there, and then I'm putting in another screw to hold it for the season, and then at the end of the season I can take that out and be done with it. But there are better ways. There's always another way, right? Ain't that what I say? There's always another way. So, but we're going to look at this design as I have it currently in Facebook, or in Facebook. I got so many of you guys I've been trying to accommodate lately in Lightburn, and we're going to look at what I've got. And if you have any questions about, well, how did you get to there? How did you get there? I'm happy to explain any of it. But I had no idea that birdhouses needed ventilation. Not only do they need ventilation, but they need drainage. So the ventilation I've handled with putting the slots in here and at the back and on the other side too. But also on the bottom, you have, instead of a solid square, there are 4 corners cut out so that it can have drainage. So there's a lot to birds. They don't just eat worms. All right, let's see here. All right, square it. Done. All right. C-clip at slotted dowel. Well, I looked at a couple of different options about doing some kind of clips, but what I was concerned about was, I don't know. I have no idea what I don't know, because how long before a bird lays its eggs, she takes well, I don't know what they call that. She tends to her eggs until the eggs are hatched, and then the fledglings leave the nest. Is that a 2-week period, a 3-week period, a 9-month period? I don't know. But how often do you need to act, and do different species need to have the boxes cleaned more often? I mean, Can the same birdhouse be used 3 times in the same season if it was cleaned up, or will a bird not? I don't know, because you know why? I'm not an ornithologist. I'm a laserologist, and I will show you how to make your bird box, your birdhouse, and then you can do what you need to do when you need to do, as often as you need to do, when you need to do what you need to do. Okay. Okay. So Talon says, why not use smaller dowel rods instead of screws to hold the big dowel? I want it to hold up. I want it to last. I want it to be there not for just this season, but next season. Uh, there's always more than there's always another way. Always, and invite feedback. I do not discourage feedback. I love input. I want to see what your thoughts are and what your suggestions are. Yeah, she's like a pin. Yeah, but as far as the size, this is a 10 millimeter bamboo dowel rod, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to outlast probably the actual box itself. And this bottom one, the bottom one is just nothing else but a pin to hold the bottom in place. And this concept was strictly my own. And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm like, okay, well, I need to get in the box and clean it out at least annually. So I want it to be able to easy access to get in and clean it all out. Goodbye, out and done. And that seemed like that was an easy access. And then also for anybody who's been watching the channel for a while, I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to symmetry. So by having this as the pivot point up here and having that dowel there, this is another dowel up here that I've screwed to the face of this. And I did it with 4 screws because I didn't want to go nowhere. I wanted to be there for an entire season. So since I had that up there, I said, you know what? I'll do that down here for just for the symmetry part of it. It has no other function except for the symmetry and to keep the face locked in place. There are 100 other ways to do it. You could come down here and put a little tab on the bottom and then have another tab that's stuck up from the front that you could put and secure it from just a little bitty piece in the center right here. There's always another way. There's no right way, wrong way. Anybody says this is the best way, well, or the way, I don't buy into that. Some birds will not go near another nest. Others will still nest. Yeah. And that's something that bothered me when I started to do the artwork on the side. I'm like, all right, that might actually deter a bird from even coming near the box. But then other birds are social and they're like, hey, how you doing? Be right back. Guys, you'll have to be patient with me tonight. I've been in the shop all day today, and my girl is demanding. And if you have, well, you listen when you're told, and I'm being told. So I'll be right back. I apologize. She's not normally this demanding, but we've not spent this many hours in the shop in a long time. All right. Yeah, Miss Gigi is a handful. And for you guys that don't know, and Brad knows, Gigi is correct. Gigi. Her name is Good Girl. And she's not being that so much tonight. So, I would not enjoy this time on this blue marble without her. Instead of a dowel, how about a pivot switch on each side, like a and Steve, I thought about that, but my problem with that, Steve, was and I've got that hardware right here because I do a lot of picture frames. I was concerned about how strong that would be over an entire season or seasons because I didn't want to have to redo this every year. And so for those who aren't aware what Steve is talking about, let me grab one of my picture frames. I hate to leave you again, but Steve did this. Oh my, this is not the right frame, but you get the concept. What he's talking about is an external version of something like this, where you can just twist it out and lock it in place or unlock it. And I've got hardware kits like this that have the little ears in there with the screws that you can do that. But I was concerned about them not lasting longer than a season, or I didn't want to have to redo this every year. And that's why I like the idea of something like this. That's not going to wear out. But what I didn't like, right now, this was a temporary deal. I've got a screw in the end of it to lock it, and another screw on this end that I put in to lock it. I wouldn't do that on my this was my prototype. My final version would have a different solution. Let's see here. She's full of herself tonight because when I say she, Gigi, the dog, hey, sometimes she's female, and I'm not being, but you give them attention when they need it, and they don't need it all the time, but when they need it, give it to them. Period. All right, now let's jump over to Lightburn. So this is my first prototype. And there are a lot of things about this that need to be changed. Screw holes that don't need to be screw holes, widths that need to be wider, dimensions that need to be changed. But beyond that, what I learned was, you see this right here? This is 100% cedar. All right. Is it Spanish cedar? Is it American cedar? I don't know. It's red. It's red cedar. I've got some that's a little bit more white. I don't know if there's a white cedar and a red cedar, but this, and if you were to take your micrometer and mic every one of these pieces of board, the face board, the side boards, everything, it's all 6 millimeters. 6 millimeter cedar, perfectly plain, perfectly sized. Where'd you get that? I made it. I made this from a $3.48 or $3.68 piece of cedar fencing. I went to the local Home Depot and I looked at Lowe's too, but Home Depot is my latest preference. And I looked for solid hardwoods, not because I needed this to be exterior. So I don't want plywoods or anything that's glued up. I wanted a solid panel, solid piece. And when I looked at birdhouse suggestions on the Audubon and other government websites, cedar, teak, and there was one other, I can't remember what it was, but cedar and teak were the top suggested woods, and solid woods, because they're great for exterior. They're great for all weather. So I'm like, okay. So I went to Home Depot. What do you have in a way of cedar project boards? And they didn't have anything. And what they did have was ridiculously expensive until I went to the fencing section. And for $3.68, I got a 6-foot post, 6 inches wide. Now it was rough cut and it was horrible looking. But I do have, and you've heard me say before, I machine my own materials. In fact, let's see here. I wasn't prepared to do this. This is all cedar that I processed today. These are all 6 millimeter cedar boards. Now these are a lot wider, not wider, but whiter. These don't have the red hue to them, but they're all 6 millimeter boards that I processed today. And this was at one time a 6-foot cedar fence post or cedar fence slat. It was a 1/2 inch thick, and I've milled it down and processed it to 6 millimeters. This is the maple that I've processed down. Now this one I've glued up and made a plaque board out of maple. But that's solid maple. That is all cedar. But what I learned today from when I went to assemble this prototype, 6 millimeters is not enough. 6 millimeters is not enough. You probably want as close to that 1/2 inch as you can get, or close to 3. You want a pretty wide board when you're making. If you want a birdhouse that's going to last for seasons and seasons and seasons, close to a 3/4 inch as you can get, the better. And you can do that with a single fence post. This one box was completely processed out of one single cedar post that cost me $3.68. And I would have had a whole lot more waste and a whole lot less time if I would have been content with a 1/2 inch board. But how powerful is your diode? If you're working with a diode laser, can you cut how thick can you cut? The one thing I learned with the cedar is very, very soft. Cedar is very, with the 30-watt Rolly XW, being able to cut 6 millimeters, not a problem. 10 millimeters, not a problem. So when I go to do the second edition of this, when I made all my revisions to this, we're going to do it probably with a full 1/2 inch or better material thickness. It's easier for assembly purposes. It's easier for not warping. A lot of reasons to do it with the maximum width. All right. Oh, my bamboo fell out. So since I need a wider material, does that mean I need to start all over? No, it doesn't. But there's a way you have to approach it when you're looking at your design you have here in Lightburn. And before I go on, let me look at the questions and comments. I see some here. Jeff, I love making things out of fence pickets. After planting them, they look beautiful. Yeah, you just have to plant. And Jeff said it better than I could say it. And because I was going to get there, but Jeff beat me to it. You have to take what you know. What do you know? What do you have? If you went to West Penn Hardwoods, and I don't even know if they sell American cedar or if they sell it in anything 6 inches or wider, and you say, I want a project board that's 2 foot by 24 foot, it's probably going to cost you an arm and a leg. But to go in and say, you know what can I buy on a budget, and then how can I utilize that? Well, a fence post or a fence picket, 6 inches wide and close to an inch thick, cedar at $368. That's dirt cheap. Now you need to make it where it's now this has been through a joiner and a thickness planer to get it to that quality of finish. And if you don't have a planer and or a thickness, if you don't have a joiner and a thickness planer, then it's a little bit more difficult. But if you want to process your own wood, save a ton of money. A planer, a joiner, and a thickness planer will save you a ton of money very, 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 very fastly, very quickly. Looking at the comments here. Yeah, Gigi got to go. No, it's not. She don't need to go. She needs attention because I've neglected her. She needs attention. How about a lever that comes? Oh, I like that, Carl. I like that. They have it. It would depend on the amount of trouble that it takes to make it and make it usable versus what you can buy one for. Because some of the hardware you can get out there, and we're going to be here all night if we keep this up because we ain't got the design yet. It is. Listen to me. If you need hardware for a box or a latch, sometimes it's cheaper to go to Hobby Lobby and buy one of their pre-made wood pile boxes with all the hinges and latches and everything on it when it's on sale at 40 and 60% off compared to buying just the hardware. Gosh, and buy the box, take all the hardware off and throw the box away and keep your hardware. It costs you pennies compared to what's buying the hardware cost. So be it Hobby Lobby or any other lobby shop, sometimes buying their pre-made boxes in their unfinished woodwork section is cheaper than going and buying the hardware. But yeah, I like the idea of making a wood latch. Something to think about. I like it. And that's what I want. I want suggestions and feedbacks and ideas. I like that. Instead of a dowel, how about a pivot switch on each side? Yeah, we talked about that. Next. Mark says these are just simple cotter pins, and that's always an option. Cotter pins are cheap. Cotter pins are easy. Cotter pins are not aesthetic. Cotter pin, the birds probably could care less, but the cotter pins are not aesthetically pleasing if you're going to be selling these. So, Dale, you're not late. You because we ain't got there yet. If you're still here, I love making things out of fence. Yes, you got to get it. Don't mean to jump the gun, but I don't see any burn marks on the side. Did you? Yes, and Jer Grady, Jer, if you are a longtime watcher and subscriber, the files that I put on hobowithwood.com are available not only in Lightburn format, but Lightburn, SVG, DXF, and SVG. So I have had multiple people who use them for scroll saws. So yeah, absolutely. Joiner, planer, and bandsaw will get you the dimension of your wood. You don't even need the bandsaw if you're starting thin enough. Get a joiner to get it nice and flat, and once you've got a flat side, you can put that thickness planer through there and get you your thickness. But now the only when you need a bandsaw, and I do bandsaw some of this my stuff, thanks Gerald, is if I've got you 1-inch boards and I want to get 3 boards out of it, then I'll take a 1-inch board and take it to a bandsaw 3 times, and then because if you take a 1-inch board, you ain't gonna get 3 boards out of it trying to do it with a planer and a thickness, a joiner and a thickness planer. Bandsaws are great. Chris says I will have a hook and eye. Yeah, a hook and eye would be if you've got something in the hardware or you can get it cheap enough. A hook and eye would be a great alternative. Easy. Yep. What about a font that will lift and what about a front that not a font? What about a front that will lift and tilt out to remove? Oh, I like that. That would take a little bit more engineering. Not much. But I like that. Who said that? Who said that? I got to get Scott. I like that. I like that a lot. That I'll have to do some rethinking on that, but then so it's going to drop down and lock in place, lift up to unlock, and then tilt out. I like that. I like that a lot. That would require a little bit more than what I want to do in this live stream, but I like that. I like that. I like that a lot, Scott. I really do. Kudos. Sometimes the most simplest things get overlooked. Guess where I'm heading tomorrow? Thank you, Mr. Hobo. I don't know where you're going tomorrow because I don't know when this was posted versus what we're talking about. About my big. Well, what day is this? Today is Saturday. If you're going to a hobby shop, you can't go to Hobby Lobby because they're not open on Sundays. But a hobby shop that's open that has some of those pre-made boxes, if that's what you're referring to, you can buy those boxes when they're on sale for $1 a piece and get the hardware for less than you can go buy the hardware. Someone should keep count of all the different ways they are being. There's always another way. Always another way. Slots and tabs for a front cover. I thought about that, Craig. I did, but because this particular the way this is assembled, there are no slots and tabs in the entire design. So because of that, I did not pursue the idea of doing a slot and tab integration and locking mechanism. But yours and yeah, it's possible. Can your prototype's hinge holes and dowels be reconfigured to make Carl? Yes. Yes, kind of. Yes. Lowe's to get some cedar. Oh, okay. There you go. Yes. There you go. I'm telling you what, guys. I mean, the cedar fence post. And before you go to Lowe's, if you have a Home Depot in your neighborhood, check them first. See what they've got. I got mine at Home Depot. At like I said, for less than $4 a piece at a 6-foot piece, and you with the right time and love and nurturing, you can make some quality products out of it. Okay, marking my spot, and this time we're going over to Lightburn and I'm going to grab this, and we're going to talk about the changes that need to be made, and we're going to talk about the things that I learned from my screw ups putting this prototype together, so you don't make the same mistakes, or at least not without a warning anyway. So all right, first thing, the roof is no. I did not make my roof wide enough. I did not make it with an overhang. I've got an overhang here in the front, but I wanted to have an overhang here, and I thought I was doing it, but because I did not have my wood positioned correctly in my mind whenever I was looking at the dimensions, I did not get the overhang that I wanted. So when you look at the side profile, you can see it's pretty flush all the way up through there with no overhang. Moses, thank you. Muchas gracias, senor. Thank you very, 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 very much. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go over to Lightburn, and we're going to look at this roof. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to, because this design we're going to look at in Lightburn is done for this 6mm material. We're not going to make another one from 6mm. The next one I'm going to do, the second prototype, will be using 1/2-inch material, or 12, right at 13mm, 12.5 or 12.7 millimeters. I think that's right. 12.7 millimeters, right at 13mm material. So if we look at Lightburn, right now, this is the design. This is the prototype. And if I come down here and I look, this is a top-down cross-section of how it's assembled. And if I look at this piece, and I said 6, it's 8mm. 8mm wide material. That's 8mm wide. That's 8mm wide. And that's 8mm wide. But when you look at how it's positioned, these two sit inside the outer two. So when you look at the combined, you get a width of 143 millimeters. Well, I need to go to a thicker material. And what I have to think about when I'm going to go to a thicker material is, do I want that thicker material? And this is where your anchor points are going to come in play. Do I want my thicker material to eat into my bird's living space, or do I want the additional thickness of the material to all go outward so the bird doesn't lose anything? The bird loses nothing by me using a large material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, right now we're at a height or a thickness of 8 millimeters. And if you look right here at my anchor points, I'm going to put my anchor point at the bottom center. And I'm going to go over here and only because and I'm sorry for everyone else in the entire world except for North American US citizens. I do work in both metric and standard, inches and metric. So right now I'm going to switch it to inches, and I'm going to do a half inch. No, I'm going to do 0.8 inches. So I'm going to come up here, and the thickness right now it shows the height is 31.5 inches or 8 millimeters. And if I want to do 0.8 inches, I say 0.8 with my anchor point at the bottom center. And I want you to watch this diagram right here. I've not done anything yet, but I'm going from 8 millimeters to 0.8 inches with my anchor point at the bottom center and hit enter. Oh, I got my anchor point I got to unlock my aspect ratio. There we go. And I'm going to tell it 0.8. Enter. See what happens? That jumped out. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change my anchor point to the top center and tell it the same 0.8. That jumped out. Come over here and I'm going to put my aspect ratio in the center here. And the width is going to be 0.8. And over here one more time. Oh, see what happened? Too many times. I did it on purpose. I didn't change my anchor point. So that time it jumped to the inside. You need to change your anchor point for each time you want to change your width so that the anchor point stays in the position you want it to be. So if I go back here and hit undo and change my anchor point to the inside center, width 0.8. Now that kept the bird's interior dimensions the same. And if I look at these two combined, they have a height of 4.9701. So I can take that and say 4.9701. And doesn't matter where the anchor point is, 4.9701. Doesn't matter where the anchor point is there because I'm just changing the height and I'm only, the anchor point's in the middle, so it doesn't matter. Height, 4.9701. Come on now, 4.9701. There we go. So now that kept the interior bird space the exact same by going to a thicker board. So here, undo. From that corner to that corner is the interior dimensions of that bird box. The only thing I changed was the thickness of the wood. By doing that simple task right there, that now tells me how wide the wood needs to be as far as the thickness of the board. We know what the width of the board. We know what the thickness of the board. We told it when we want it to be 0.8 millimeters. But now how wide does it need to be? Well, if the material thickness is 0.8 millimeters, well, it needs to be a width, and here it says height, but this will be the width of 4.9701. So if I was to take and do a width of 4.9701. And then whatever the width is here, it would be the height. So we look at just those two right there. The height, let's see. I'm sorry, that's the width. 4.97 would be the height. And then if that's going to be that and that. And then, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Confusing myself. So I've got when you buy the cedar fencing, it comes in 6-foot pieces and they're 5 or 6 inches wide, depending on where you buy it from. You can get that out of a single piece of fencing. And a 5-foot piece, you can make a single birdhouse out of it. Your material is $3.68. Time and labor to dissect it and make it the pieces you want. But look at what these things are selling for here in a few minutes. I've used cedar fencing for years, making hand routed signs. There you go. And I bet you make a buttload of money off of them, considering how inexpensive the cedar fencing is. Cheapest cedar fence post at my Home Depot. No, you're looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, you're looking at the wrong thing, Carl. You're looking at the cedar post. Don't look at the post. You look for the picket. The post is what the pickets go between. Yeah, you're looking at the post, which is like a 4x4 cedar post. You don't want that. You want the cedar, and yeah, I'll show you here in a few minutes. Don't do that. You don't want that. Yeah, look. Yeah, the fence slat, the fence picket, yeah. And Brad, you don't need a $300 planer, but I tell you what, if you do what I do, if you wanted to buy, this is solid maple, a 5x7 maple plaque. All right. No plywood. See that? That's solid maple. Now it's 2 pieces that have been glued together. But if you wanted to buy that piece, that's a $10 piece. But you can make your own for nothing when you can buy thin pieces of scrap piece, plane them down, and I'm using a joiner and a thickness planer. So I've got 2 pieces of equipment that I'm doing. But if you do enough of them, they pay for themselves like that. Quick. Okay. All right. Now back over here. I actually even mark this. And Carl, if I was saying, no, wrong one. If I was saying post, yeah, don't remember stroke, and I'm not swimming. The brain does not fully engage. Sometimes the clutch slips. 1/8 of an inch is thicker than 3/4. Isn't that thicker than the fence picket? I don't know. I was just showing this for demonstration purposes. Don't know. Yes, it is 1/8 of an inch is thicker than 3/4 of an inch, and yes, but I was showing this for demonstration purposes, how it works. Back over here. So you can change your thickness of your material with your anchor point set in the correct place. Here I did it at 0.8. Set your anchor point to the center and the middle, and say you want it 0.6 of an inch. And that will change your thickness of your material from the outside in. Change your anchor point to 0.6. change your anchor point 6/10. Now look, you got a difference there in your overall height, 6/10. Oh, I didn't change my anchor point. Undo. Change my anchor point to here and make it 6/10. There. So now when I look at this, those two combined, they have a height of 4.507. So I can change these two to have the same 4.507. 50. Well, I don't even remember what it was now. 4.701. And I messed it up because I didn't do it in the right order. We're going to center them and be done with it. Not there, stupid. We'll group those two. And then group those two and center them. There we go. Nope, I still didn't get it quite right. 4.5701. 4.5701. There we go. And I didn't have my anchor point in the right spot, or else it would have put them where I wanted it. There. So by changing your material thickness and moving it from the outside in, each time you need to do it, you can keep your interior dimensions the same. And why am I telling you this? Why am I showing this 2 or 3 times? Because we're not using slots and tabs. And there are, when you look at different birdhouse plans from the Audubon Society, from other places, they all saying they want to have X and Y interior dimensions. Well, if you decide you want to try to do this with your 3mm Baltic birch, you can. It's not going to last very long. But to do that, you need to do it so that you bring your thickness of your material from the inside, from the outside in. So you maintain the interior dimensions without those changing. And then you can add slots and tabs as you need to, or if you want to create a box that goes together. But another thing that I've learned is you don't glue these up. Do not put any sealant on them. Do not put anything on them to make them look pretty. You want to make these au natural. A birdhouse should be completely natural. That's why they say cedar, teak, and or I forget what it, what it was. Something else was a whole lot more expensive. Cedar, teak, and don't know. But anyway, these hold up to the environments better without all the chemicals, because chemicals kill the birds. So this is done with no glue, all straight edge, and using screws to hold it together, and no glue. So if you're going to try and do these with your thinner materials, reduce your thickness from the outside in, and then you can add slots and tabs, because if you do it with anything less than this 8mm material and you try to use screws, it ain't gonna work. I need to go thicker because this was too thin. All right. Oh, wrong button. Marking. And I'm just acknowledging. High Beam says your videos have helped me a ton. Thank you. Well, thank you, High Beam. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And Redwood. Oh, Redwood is a good one. Oh, yeah. Yep. A bit pricey. We don't have Redwood here. West Coast and North America might be a little bit more predominant, and it's probably still pretty expensive. But you don't see Redwood when you walk into Home Depot or Lowe's here on the East Coast. All right, marking the spot, moving on. All right, so now I've shown you, set your anchor point. and you move your thickness of your material from the outside in, and you can adapt this design to work with any material thickness you're going to work with. Switch. And I just seen this comment. Whatever you do, don't use treat. Yes, do not, and that's au natural. Au natural. That does not mean make your birdhouses in the nude. Au natural does not mean make your birdhouses in the nude. It will not help the birds one iota. Au natural, make them with no chemicals, no glue, no nothing. All right, so I showed you this. All right, so now I've got the basic design over here, and if and let's see here, birdhouse designs. Nestwatch.org, all about birdhouses. That's one place I went to for a source, and they will tell you a bunch of different designs. And I went to the Audubon Society as well. But let's go over here. Birdhouse plans, 70 birdhouses. And once we get here, Eastern Bluebird. And see here, the Bluebird does not have a perch on it, as so many have told me in the Facebook group. Bluebirds do not need a out perch. But this box configuration appeals to many other birds that do like the perch. And so one size does not fit all. But that's what I was trying to do here. Accommodate 3 or 4 different bird species. But here on this website, this one is the 70birds.com. It gives you the interior dimensions of this board, this height. It tells you how high the hole should be. You want a 1.5 inch hole for your bird, for the bluebirds. And this was something I found interesting. Here, this is the Bluebirds of 70birds.com, and they're showing you a 1.5 inch diameter hole. And there's all your different settings. Well, one of the comments that was made was bluebirds do not or don't need or want a round hole. They want, a round top with a flat bottom. It's appealing to the bluebirds, but not to the wrens. I'm not an ornithologist. I was making a simple design. But if you are an ornithologist or a bird watcher, if you want to make your specific your birdhouse very specific to a species specific, well, I'm showing you the basics here, and you can make it, you can make it for your bird specific species as much as possible. Cypress, that's another one. Thank you, Crafting with Gene. I think Cypress was another one that was a very, very good. Jim's got a good question. And you guys are going to keep up with the questions. We're not ever going to get to the design. Jim says, would this be a chance to defocus the depth for cutting thicker materials, like which step the Rolly MK2 focus gate? And so what Jim is talking about, for those who are unaware, oh no, I just messed up. There we go. Nope, almost. There we go. All right. So the diode laser, when it comes out of your laser module, right there's the Rolly 1030 MK2XW. And when that laser beam shoots out of that laser module, it's multiple diodes being focused to a specific point for an optimal focal point. But as it comes out of those diodes to an optimal focal point, then it begins to spread back out again. So a diode laser has a laser shaped like this. You have your optimal focal point, and then it gets wider and wider as it comes out. As it comes out of the laser module, it's getting narrow, 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 and then it starts to spread back out again. And whenever what Jim's referring to is the step gauge on the Rolly Lasermatic, they have a focal gauge that has different thicknesses on where you focus your laser depending on the thickness of your material. So yes, and with any diode, be it the Rolly, be it the X-Full, be it the Atom Stack, be it whatever you've got, the thicker your material, if you're cutting, then you need to get closer and closer to the material itself, and it's going to cause you to have, and this brings up a point I was going to bring up later. If you're going to make this with slots and tabs, and you're making it out of a 3/4 inch board, if you don't have your focal point at the optimal point, if you set your focal point for the very optimal focus, and it's cutting through 3/4 inch material, well, that's what happens. It's going to be very narrow when the laser penetrates the board, but as it goes through the board, it gets wider. Not whiter, but wider. So you'll get a conical shaped cut with your material as your laser is penetrating that thick material. That's why you lower your focal point so you can have a more uniform cut as that laser is penetrating the material. If you try to do slots and tabs with really, really thick material and you don't have your focus dialed in perfect, and each species of wood is going to have a different kerf. Cedar is a very, very soft wood, so it cuts very easily with the 10 watt and or the 30 watt material or the laser. But if you have your focal point set at different positions, your kerf is going to change. So you got to know your laser, you got to know your material, and that, how do you do that? Test, test, test. And if you don't think that your laser has a conical shaped cut, then you set your laser at the optimal focal point and you cut out a 1/2 inch material thickness. And then once you take your waste out where it cut it out, it cut it. Great. Flip it over and try to put it back in. It's going to be conical shaped. It's only going to fit in one way. So, just realize this work part. Yes, it can be even if you don't use it outside, it still, yeah, you and if you want to make it home decor, you can get by without a whole lot of stuff. You can cut a whole lot of corners if you want to do it as home decor. All right, so you got me off on squirrel talking about kerf and all the other things. So let's go back over here where we were at, because we're 90 minutes in, guys. 90 minutes in. You know what? 90 minutes in, and you know what? We're going to vote twice. We're going to vote twice. Go to here, giveaway, choose a live stream, Hobo with live. We're going to do hashtag, and do not type yet. It won't help you. Wait. Which one No, cancel that. No, let's see. That don't work. Scratch that. Oh, wrong button. I don't know how to do this. There's got to be a poll. It's another thing. All right, you know what? The heck with it. Start collecting. Switch. All right. So do hashtag mine. Hashtag mine. And we're going to give away another hat. Hashtag mine. And again, I don't care if you're in the US or where you're at, we're going to send another one out. Hashtag mine for another hat. The next giveaway is going to be for a Hobo Nation Laserologist t-shirt. We'll do the t-shirt on the next giveaway. Hashtag mine. And we'll let that scroll up. We'll generate some entries here. All right, go back over here. All right. So now we talked about if you go to a Audubon Society or a U.S. government or the Australian Outback Society for suggested bird house dimensions, they're going to give you suggested heights and lengths, but they're not going to talk to you about whether or not you're using 5 millimeter material or 1 inch material, whatever. They're going to give you suggested, interior dimensions, or you can at least derive on what the interior dimensions should be. So here, what I learned was the 8 millimeter material was not sufficient. I need more. And since this board is 3/4 inch or inches, millimeters, let's do this. In fact, I'll just show you what I'm doing right now because a lot of you don't know this yet. If I come over here to Lightburn and I draw out a rectangle, and I'm going to tell it it's I know it's 3/4 inch material. I'm going to work in inches, and I'm going to go to a height of 0.75. All right, so that's what it is. I can look at the millimeters. That's 19 millimeters. But if you're going to process a piece of 1x6 fence picket, not post, fence picket, and make it where it's got a flat surface and you machine your thickness, you might get it down to I got it down to 0.8 here, but I need to be wider than that. I got it down to 8 millimeters. Let's get it down to 15 millimeters. What is that in the way of inches? Well, if I come over here, I know what it is. I've got 19 millimeters. I want it to be 15 millimeters or 0.59 or 0.6 inches. 0.6 inches. So with my thickness planer, I now know I can use my thickness planer. My planer, I get it flat. Then I set my thickness. Two machines I've got, not a planer, joiner. I get my joiner, I get it flat. And then I take it off my joiner and I go to my thickness planer and I plane it to 0.6 inches and or 15 millimeters. And that's going to give me close to twice the thickness of what I got here. I shouldn't have a problem with wood splitting. It won't be too heavy because cedar is very, very light. And it's going to look really good too. All right. Got collection. Chris, you can sort of use the giveaway tool for a poll. It will count hashtag question for an option. Oh, hashtag. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't know if it still works because there's been some changes made since last week. I ain't even looked at yet. Is the planing for aesthetics? No. I am doing, because if you go to your Home Depot / Lowe's / Menards, whoever you have in your neighborhood, and you look at these fence pickets, they will sometimes be semi-spherical. They will have a cup to them. They are rough cut, rough sawn lumber. So with my joiner, and I sent a request to a real good friend of mine who inspired this entire channel. Everyone out there right now say, thanks, Gerald. Because if it wasn't for Gerald, I wouldn't be here right now. But Gerald is a very, very, very good, and I'm thinking of a polite way to say anal, very meticulous woodworker. So precision is everything. So I sent Gerald a request earlier about how to process my fence picket to get the optimum results. And I got them back here. So this right here, this morning, all of this was a 6-foot fence picket. 6-foot fence picket. Cedar, rough cut, no smoothness, no nothing. And it had some cupping to it. So my question was, do I need to cut my fence picket to length for my desired pieces? In this case, none of the pieces were over 12 inches. But with the XW, I can do up to 16, give or take. But with this one, nothing is over 12 inches. So, do I need to section my material into 12-inch pieces before joining them and planing them? That way, it relieves any of the tension that's in the board that's causing all that cupping and irregularities in the board. And I didn't hear back from him because he's a very, very fortunate man to have the weekends. He is not available. You cannot reach him. So I went to YouTube University, and there are some people who say, yes, section your material, then join it, then section plane it. And that way you're only having to worry about the tension that's in this 12-inch piece, instead of dealing with a 6-foot long piece that might have some multiple twisting in it. And if you cut that 6-foot piece down into 6 1-foot pieces, you're relieving a whole lot of the tension just by doing that. Then you run it through the joiner. I've got these things, and this doesn't work all the time. So I'm 1-foot pieces. I run it through the joiner and get one side that's perfectly flat. Get rid of all of that cupping. That way I don't need to worry about using a sled or anything with my thickness planer to then take and put that perfectly flat piece on my thickness planer, run it through, and then I get, look at that. I mean, that you couldn't ask for better than that. And do you have these in your shop? Maybe not. Do you need these in your shop? Maybe not. Do you want to save a ton of money in processing your own material? Then yes, you need all these. Do I have a link to send you to this that I can sell you and I get money off of them? Nope, not at all. There is no benefit in me sending you to go buy these things. But if you have a place for them, and I carry these out to my front porch and use them as needed, and then just blow them off the shavings and blow them off in my front yard and make a flower bed out of my shavings and material, you can save a ton of money with a minimal investment with a joiner and a thickness planer. But get quality stuff. Don't go with the cheapest, because spend more money and get a 5-blade planer with a high RPM so you don't get a whole lot of chip out and cut out. And we're getting so sad. Squirrel. All right, let's see here. Go back over here. Go back over here. Here. Mine. We got 56 inches straw. Kevin, congratulations, Senor. Kevin, send me your your mailing information to hobowithwood@gmail.com, and I will send you your Hobo Nation laserologist head out Monday. We'll get that to you. Thank you for being here, Kevin. All right, now questions, comments. And that was Dale's. Is planning for aesthetics? No. Because if you try and glue, if you went and bought you a fence picket for $3, there's a reason why you pay premium product for your milled cedar. If you don't have a joiner and you don't have a planer and you try and cut this project out of a fence picket, it ain't going to happen, Captain. Because it's going to be a curved and bowed piece of board. There ain't going to be any right angles anywhere. It just ain't going to happen. So if you're going to do enough processing of material, and if you are willing to spend the time, if you're not afraid of the and all the saws and the blades and you're not intimidated by that, you can save a ton of money processing your raw material yourself versus paying a premium for it through Rockler or West Penn or anybody else, if you can process and your own material. Mark, this one I had today was 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch, the one I got today. There's Chris. If you section, let the board acclimate for 24 to 36 hours after cutting for the stress relief. That's a good suggestion. Told you, Chris knows a whole lot more than I do. In fact, Chris, did you set up your camera and microphone? You said you were going to do that. Are you ready for me to send you a link for you to join me here in the stream and say hey to everybody? If you're ready, give me say I'm ready in the stream. I'll send you the link and you can come in and say hey to everybody. Okay. Chris. Oh, Chris says he's ready. All right. Well, Chris, send me an email at hobowithwood@gmail.com. hobowithwood@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link, and you can click in and join in and say hello, or however you. That was more of a Cockney accent than it was an Australian accent. You have to show us an Australian accent, sir. Mark says, yes, we want to see Chris. So you send me that email and I'll send you the link and I'll have you join in here. If I can figure out what they've done to my streaming, I don't know what they've done with this. This is all kind of new stuff going on here, but we'll figure it out. All right, now back here, mark my spot. And we're waiting for that email from Chris. And while we're waiting for that email from Chris, go back over here to Lightburn. And I showed you how you can change your material thickness and it not change your concept without, reworking the entire design. So I know I need my roof piece to be bigger. Right now, I do not have an overhang on the sides. I'm good front to back, but I need it to be wider left to right. Well, I'm just going to leave that all grouped together and simply come in here to my width with my aspect ratio unlocked. And I want it to have a 1/2 inch overhang on each side. So that's another inch. So I'm just going to come up here and say +1. And that will increase it by 1 inch, a 1/2 inch in each direction. So now I've just changed that design so that that roof will now be a 1/2 inch overhang on each side. And I didn't have to do anything besides add 1 inch. Now, what I don't like about this with where my roof sits, I want this over right here where I've got a semicircle. If you look at it from the back, you can see how the semicircle, there we go. You can see the semicircle is below the roof line. Well, I want the semicircle to be up here and hide that roof. And here I'm trying to make my design worthy of a $50 price tag versus something you can go buy at Ace Hardware for $10. Bless you, Tom. Thank you so very, very much. God bless you and thank you, sir. What do I stream with? I stream with StreamYard. StreamYard made some changes since last week that I'm not familiar with yet. StreamYard is what I use. All right, Chris, I see you sent that. I will look for your email in just a second. So what I want to look at is if this is my backboard right now, and I just seen that I want it to be the thickness of my material higher from here up. Well, what is that thickness material? I'm getting ready to increase it from 8 mil to 15 or 16 mil. So I'm going to add another 8 mil to it. So I'm going to come in here and I see right now that my width is 5 inches. So I'm going to draw a rectangle, come right here, hold shift and get that so it locks in. Well, no, there we go. It did not do what I wanted to do. Let's try that again. Delete rectangle right here, hold shift. There we go. So there's the exact width, 5 inches. But now I want to change my anchor point to the top center, and I want it to be 7 mil. So the height is 7 mil. And still didn't go where I wanted it to. It's all right. I'll select that, bring that corner up to here. And I want that radius to come over to here. So it's going to be completely hidden. Well, I can do that not 100 different ways, but there's always another way. There's always another way. This is just one way that I would consider doing that. I could do it with node editing, but I want to do it with a spherical shape. So now that I'm moving my board height up to here, I want this spherical shape to come to an end over here. So if I go to a circle and I draw, and I'm coming to that there, get my crosshairs, holding shift and draw out until I get to those crosshairs and release. That circle right there should be the exact same width as what I've got there. Come to right there. No, let's bring it on down. It's still not going to be wide enough. All right. I'm going to bring it down to, because what I want to look at is I want to keep this height the same. So I'm going to get those crosshairs and bring those crosshairs to right there. That gives those centered. But now my width isn't right. So I'm going to hold control and I'm going to drag out here until I get the width that to come out to those corners, give or take. That's a bit much. Right there. Now I can go in here and use my scissor tools. I don't need this guy right there anymore. I can delete that. Or no, I don't. I do need that. Undo. I need all that. So I'm going to use my scissor tools. I'm still learning to use scissors. But right now I have the rectangular shape showing the new thickness of the material, where it's going to bring the height of that material going to be. And then I need to have that spherical shape in where that new height's going to be and get rid of the old spherical shape. And scissors is kind of cool. So I've got 1, 2, 3 shapes. But if you look here, you see how you see the dash, dash, dash? That's a singular shape. Dash, dash, dash. That's a singular shape. But when we look at this, that's dash, dot, 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 dash, dot, dot. That's a group. You cannot use a scissor tool on a group. You have to ungroup everything. So now with that selected, I'm going to hit ungroup. There we go. Now I got dash, dash, dash. So now I can use my scissors. I'm going to grab my scissor tool and get rid of the stuff I know I don't want. I don't want that. I don't need that piece right there or there. Come over here. I don't need that or that. And then now, you see how that made all those join up on the inside piece? If I clip that, I don't need any of that. And then I don't need this piece or this piece. And I can go back to my selector tool and select all of this stuff that I don't need and hit the delete button. And that cleans that up. So that allowed me to move this point on the back of the box. If I can get it to focus here. There we go. This point on the, over here, this point on the back of the box will be raised up to the new thickness of the new material. And then that will have that arc come over and be symmetrical and look nice and neat. There we go. Probably do you good if I wasn't in focus. Couldn't you achieve the same result by adding length to the bottom? I don't know. Maybe. Because there's always another way. Always another way. And never run with scissors. All right. So now I have changed the roof size, my roof panel. And what I'm going to do is, for those who are a regular subscriber to Hobo with Wood on YouTube, you can anticipate seeing a video this coming week showing the second version of this. This is the prototype. This is a piece that failed. And this ain't a bad piece, but this is a piece that failed. The second piece will have the wider roof, the thicker material, and the modifications we're going to do here, including the notches for the fledglings and the bird to grab onto instead of the perch. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. There's a way you can do it mechanically with a table saw, or you can do it with the laser. The table saw is faster if you have it. But if you don't have a table saw, you can do it with a diode. Oh, all right. Now, yes, crafting with Gene, I use StreamYard. And StreamYard changed this week since last week. Something's new since I was here last Saturday, and I ain't figured it all out yet. All right. So I've changed my roof. My roof panel's fixed. I've explained how you're going to change the material thickness without changing your inner shape. Now, when you're putting this together, if you know you need a 10-foot backboard, or 10 foot, that's a big bird with yellow feathers. If you need a 10-inch backboard, and this is the thing about in Lightburn, it's two-dimensional. If you said I needed a 4-inch wide and a 10-inch backboard, 4x10 backboard, well, that gives you your frontal profile view of that. Chris is coming. I ain't forgot him. I promise you I ain't forgot him. But here is your front profile of that 4-inch by 10-inch piece. Now, what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to take in here, and there are software programs that do this for you that Lightburn doesn't do, that allow you to create in 3D. And a channel that I like watching, and I have not done this. Steve Torrey uses a software program that allows you to create in 3D. And it even goes so far as to show you the three-dimensional representation. And I think it will show you the interference issues. If you create something that doesn't work, it goes beyond what Lightburn can do because it's creating in 3D. Here in Lightburn, we're relying on this to create in 3D. So if you know you need a piece that's 10 inches by 4 inches, and then you have to think about, okay, well, I'm making it 0.8 inches thick. Well, then you need to be able to come in here and say, all right, well, if that's the front board and it's going to be 0.8 and it's going to be 4 inches. Well, if this is the front, well, this is the bottom profile. Control D, no. Control D, duplicate that. So if this is the front, come on. If that's the front, that's the back. Then if you're using the same material, your thickness doesn't change. It's 0.8 of an inch thick. Control D, duplicate it, rotate it. But here's where you got to think. If I put this piece on the outside right here, then it's going to need to be longer to come up to what if in fact, if you say you wanted a 4x4 interior, hold your square, hold shift, and I'm going to bring it down to here. And what is that? That's going, yeah, there's 4 inch by 4 inch. Oh, wrong button, stupid. Alt Shift V. There we go. So if this was on the same level as that, in order to have an interior that's 4 inches by 4 inches square, then this piece is going to need to be able to come all the way down to What is the total combined height of that? The height is 5.6 inches. So if I set that and set my anchor point center, we'll go there and make it the height of 5.6. And then duplicate that, Control D, duplicate it, bring it over. I didn't duplicate it. Control D, duplicate, bring that over. Alt Shift H. Now that gives me a 4x4, but these are not the same as these. But if you're going to do these without slots and tabs, then you're not going to have 4 equal spaces. 2 of them are going to be different than the other 2. And to do this au naturel, and again, not in the nude, if you're going to do this all natural, then you're going to be using either dowels to glue it all up, drill it, and dowel, and you don't want to use glue though. Screws are your best bet from everything I've seen. And when people are building professional birdhouses, screws, not glue. But then now you know that the interior is 4x4x4, but your 2 pieces here, those are your dimensions, 4x5.6, and your other 2 boards are going to be 5.6 by 5.6, or 5.6 high with a thickness of your material, which was 0.8, I think was. I got something grouped together. Oh, I'm doing it the wrong way. There we go. 0.8 and 5.6. All right. So let's go over here and grab Chris real quick. Let's go, not there. Let's go here and go here, here, here. Nope, nope. All right. No making fun. No poking. All right, invite. Oh. Invite, copy, reply, paste. All right, so now we're waiting for Chris to join in here. And everybody can say, hey, Chris from Down Under. Down Under? I don't know how you say that. My Cockney and my Australian kind of blend together. How do I make my snap to snappier? There are settings you can use in your settings that make your snapping more sensitive. Are we making fun of the fact they have rain? Don't know. Don't know. All right. So I sent Chris the link. Oh, there he is. I heard a ding dong. I heard a chime. I'm not calling Chris a ding dong. Let's start this fresh. I heard a chime, not a ding dong. All right, let me go over here, turn that off. And here comes. All right, everyone, brace yourself. Hello, Chris.
G'day, everybody.
G'day, everybody. that everybody say hey to Chris. So, Chris, I don't know, because you are one of my first guests, not the first, but one of my first. Can you see the comments? Can you see Sharon's hey, Chris? Hello, Chris.
Yep.
Okay.
I can see it.
Excellent. Okay. So, before we get too sidetracked, do you have any immediate suggestions about the birdhouse where we're at right now?
No, nothing specific.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to say something like, well, no, the hole needs to be larger for wallabies or something like that. I didn't know. So now, for those who aren't aware, Chris, you are Western Australia, right?
Correct.
So, in relation to what is when people think of Australia, they think of what Melbourne or
Melbourne,
where,
Sydney, Brisbane.
yeah, and that's completely opposite of you, right?
They're on the far side.
Yeah. So why do you want to be away from everybody?
I'm antisocial.
Okay, he's antisocial. All right. I can relate to that, and probably so can 90% of the Hobo Nation. We are an eclectic and unique group who gather here every week to not socialize with people. All right. So let's see here. You are welcome to chime in because and Chris and I have not done a collaborative build yet. Craig and I have done multiple collaborative builds where Craig will say, I need to do this or I want to do that. How can we and it's so much easier and better sometimes. You get a better result, and you tell me if you agree with this, when you can reach out or when you're discussing with collaborating. You're it's not just your ideas because someone else's idea, they have a better twist on how this can work. Like your idea a minute ago about the hook. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll work. Do you design or work with anybody at all local, or is it just you?
Mainly me. I just take ideas or suggestions from people and then turn it into something totally, absolutely different.
Very good. Very good. Is there anything about this that you would say completely nix it? Don't do it.
No, there's no such thing as don't do it. Only you burn your wood.
You burn. All right, let's see here. I don't really understand that question. Burn carves. Who's your auntie? I'm not. I don't understand that one. Burn carve print. Who's your auntie? Don't know that. And Kevin says always nice to put a face with the name, and that's what Craig, as I mentioned, Craig and I have worked together quite a bit. And he even he's the one that suggested, say, you know what? I would love to have Chris jump on here and say, hey to everybody, because everybody sees you in my stream, that other live stream, and a few other streams on YouTube. They say Chris everywhere, but they're like, man, we'd love to be able to say hey and hear Chris.
Everybody wants to hear the accent that I don't have. It's all you Americans that have the funny accents.
Well, it's not just the Americans that are here tonight. But I embrace and as should you the accent that makes you are who you are. Yeah. I embrace it as a Southerner, and you should embrace it as a and say I embrace it as I'm a redneck. I'm a hobo. What is the slang for you there in Australia? What are you?
A bogan.
A what? Oh, he froze on us. A bogan? Hopefully he'll come back here in a second. Oh, there you are. What is it? You're what?
Bogan.
Bogan. Bogan. Bogan.
Yep.
That's new to me. All right, so maybe you have rednecks there in Australia, maybe you don't, but redneck is not a derogatory term, and bogan may not be a derogatory term, but it's all in the inflection on how you use it. But I embrace being a redneck. Hopefully, you embrace being a bogan, and I'm glad that you are part of the Hobo Nation. Let's see here. Craig says, "Thanks for the great advice, Chris." Craig's thanking you for everything you've helped him out with. Bogan, is it GEN or GAN?
GAN. Bogan spelled redneck. IN.
IN. All right. BOGIN. Bogan. Not Brogan. Bogan. There we go. All right. So I've expanded my roof line, so I've got an overhang on either side of the roof, so that if it's out there, the rain's dripping off on the sides and in the front. And the one thing I didn't think about, and honestly, because I don't and I haven't built birdhouses, I never realized that cleaning out birdhouses is a thing. But I put a pivot point up here using a dowel rod that allows me just to pivot that up and access that and clean that out. But whenever I made my dowel rod because I used the dowel rod for the bottom to lock it in, what I didn't think about was I spaced the dowel rod out away from the face of the material when it should have been flat against the face, so that it helps hold it secure and locked in place and not have it any room for movement at all. Plus the ventilation. You got the ventilation here, there, and the bottom are cut out with 45 degree or 45 angles. So it's got ventilation for air to move through. And this is actually not so much for ventilation as it is for drainage. I didn't want to be an ornithologist. I wanted to make stuff. And when people start saying, "Hey, can you make me a birdhouse?" Well, I don't know do you have this problem, Chris, where they say, "Well, make me a wibbly woe," and you don't know anything about weebly woes. You go in and you research everything there is to know about a weebly woe, and you try to make it the most perfect weebly woe home as you can. Are you that way?
We don't encourage birds. They try and kill us here.
They what? What's that now?
We don't encourage birds by giving them houses. They try and kill us when they're here.
They do not give them houses because they try to kill them. They do not encourage birds. Everything down under wants to kill you. Be it the snakes, be it the the kangaroos, the Tasmanian devils. Everything in Australia wants to kill you. So we're not making them a home. We're kicking the heck out. All right, let's see here. Oh, Brad asked, what isn't deadly in Australia? Yeah, everything wants to kill you except for the Australians.
Oh, even them at times.
And even them, yes. All right. The Australian magpies are on the hunt. Yeah. All right. So, and so I'm going to look at, because I spent a lot of time making this prototype design up and it not working the way I wanted it to. But I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I've gotten so far with it that I can make the adjustments that I need to make without having to redesign the whole thing. I showed you how you can accommodate different thicknesses of material, but what I just showed here, and I don't know how well my microphone's in the way. The circle there is, see how proud that inner circle is of the actual material thickness. It's not sitting on the same plane. It needs to be where that shuts in order to keep that bottom tight. And I'm going to switch over to Lightburn here. Let's see here. Present. Share screen, share entire screen, share. There we go. Share. And I'm going to take the really handsome guys off the screen here for a second. So all I want to do is this bottom circle. This I'm okay with. I'm okay with where that hinges and pivots up. But to make this a tighter fit, when I put that dowel rod through there, if I was to take my pencil, wrong there, and draw a straight line from here, hold my shift button and draw a straight line to here, and then hit the right click to stop drawing, then use my selector tool to select that circle, hold shift, or I don't even have to hold shift. I'll use my docking tools. I'll select that circle and tell it to dock to the left with 0 padding. And will it dock? Come on, baby. It's not going to dock. So I'll use that, hold shift and select the, come on. Circle, hold shift, select that line, Alt Shift H to move that circle over. So now that circle is going to sit on the same plane as what will be the face of that box, because if I were to use my imagination, if you will, if it's 8 millimeters material thickness, and yes, I know we're going wider, but in this case we were at 8. So that material thickness, and here you can see the problem I had. There's where the material was. There's the front hatch where it closed. Well, before, this was over here in the center, so that wasn't giving a tight, secure fit. So on the bottom, while up here, you want to have room for it to rotate and clear the top roof line. In order to make this a tight fit, you want to have it tight against that profile of that front piece. So, go back. Nope, wrong button again, switch. They've changed so many things about this. So you, instead of keeping that symmetrical like I did up front or on the top one, I move that in against the face of this, and that's going to make, when I slide that dowel in there, make that tight. So it gives it a secure close, and I can slide that dowel out and then pivot that and clean it out. What do you think, Chris? Any ideas or suggestions to make that any better?
No.
No. All right. Okay. And now complete distractions and off topic. My cedar was full of knots and full of imperfections. And instead of trying to throw those out and trying to eliminate those, I incorporated those with my design. So I'm going to show you this. You probably can't see from here, but if I come up here real close, there's a knot right there. I incorporated that knot with the design so that when you're at a distance, it doesn't look anything any different than a leaf or anything else. So the same thing on this side. There was a knot right there, and I put it at the top of that vine. So don't let knots or imperfections in your wood make you want to waste material. Figure out a way to incorporate them and hide them in the design work so that you can get the most out of your material. Let's see here. All right, so I fixed how it closes. I fixed my roof line. I fixed the height of the roof with the semicircle. All right. Now, switch. No, I don't want that. I want that, and I want that, and I want. So, what time is it in your time right now, Chris?
11:22, almost lunchtime.
Okay. All right. Do you have daylight savings time on Western Australia?
No, we're too far north to make it effective.
Okay. All right. Switch my shirt. All right. Last giveaway tonight. If you want one of the t-shirts that says Hobo Nation Laserologist, put in my shirt, hashtag my shirt, no spaces, no dashes, hashtag my shirt. And again, I don't care where you're at. It's not just domestic US. Hashtag my shirt. And I'll send you out a size if I've got it. Because what I've got here is what we'll send out. If you win, you'll send me your information, tell me your shirt size, and if I've got it, I'll send it to you. And if not, I'll tell you what my options are. So you guys start putting that in my shirt. See the shingles, my cedar shakes. I got my cedar shakes on my roof line. Is there anything about setting up this basic? Because I got the dimensions from the Autobahn Society. I didn't create this. These were not my designs. I just took a ready-made design with, a 10-inch backboard, a 9-inch front, this and that, and then adapted it to work with the CNC and the laser. But is there anything about creating something like this that has you just completely bumfuzzled, that you don't understand how you got from A to B, that you would like to see a demonstration of in creating the actual dimensions? I'll be glad to do that. But it's being that you're not doing slots and tabs, it's actually easier making a box without slots and tabs than it is with slots and tabs, because you don't have to worry about material thickness. You just got two dimensions, your height and your width. With slots and tabs, you got to worry about height, width, and dimensions, your thickness and material. This is actually easier, in my opinion. But if there's something else you'd like to see, throw it out there. Or if you have a question for Chris, like, I don't know, what's the craziest animal he's had in his backyard? I don't know. Throw it out there, because you all have seen Chris in all of the chat rooms, because he never sleeps. We assume he eats, but he never sleeps, and he's everywhere we are when we're there. All right, so we've got 38 entries for
My
the shirt.
sleep schedule is set by what lives I watch.
YouTube dictates his sleep schedule. All right. Let's go up here back to my last mark. Dale says you should probably get your eyes checked. Y'all look a lot like me, and I ain't pretty. Don't know what button you pushed when you put Chris and you on the side to show Lightburn. The screen's brightness was great. Well, I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that have changed in StreamYard that I have no control over, so I don't know what happened. I'm not a knothead, but that's good advice. Thanks. Yep. Use those knots. Figure out how to incorporate them into design. Don't throw them out the, don't scrap a whole piece of wood because of a little bitty knot. And look at this smart aleck. My shirt is almost worn out. Let's see here. Chris should get a hat for being a guest. All right. Yep. Well, he's got a shirt. Yep. Let's see here. But you know what? It's crazy because of where he's at. I can send him a $5 hat, and it'll cost me $30. All right.
You send the hat, I'll pay the shipping.
Do you burn starter holes for your Dale? That's a good question, and we'll look at that in Lightburn. Let's see here. We'll look at that in Lightburn. Put smaller horizontal dowels along the front, like the top and bottom ones you demonstrate. Oh, now that might be kind of cool. Instead of grooves, doing external dowels to give the birds a place to grab onto. That would look cool. But the problem with that, Jim, one, I got to buy smaller dowels. So my cost just went up. So if I want to keep my cost down, instead of buying extra pieces to glue onto it, then using the laser to cut out rows using a deep engrave to create valleys for the bird to grab a hold to, or using
split the dowel so you can glue the flat side to the front.
That's an idea. But how are you gonna split the dowel? It's only a 10 millimeter dowel. How do you split it?
Kitchen knife.
Yeah. Eraser knife, utility knife. But that's dicey. I can see losing a digit or stitches.
Well, so you only count to 9 instead of 10.
Who needs to count to 10? Wait a minute. Anybody working in the metric system needs to count to 10. But that's an idea. If you had and I've never tried to do it, but if you were to take the 10 millimeter dowel and split it down the middle using a utility knife or a carving knife, to where you could have that 5 mil that you glued to the face, that would look cool. And when I'm selling my project, I justify my cost of my projects based on the quality of the product, the materials used, and by using that external split cut dowel to create anybody can go out to the table saw and put a kerf cut in there and create those. kerf cuts for the bird to grab a hold of. To have those external bulges of the dowels, that would look cool. Not everybody's going to have it. It's going to be more work, which means more money. You just have to be good and comfortable with justifying your additional cost or expense to people who might be wanting to buy or you're trying to sell your product to. So let's give away a
good
shirt.
point, Dale.
Let's give away a shirt. Let's give away a shirt. So if you haven't put in hashtag my shirt, too late. Hashtag my shirt, draw.
Oh, I almost won.
Yep, DLH. Now, I'm not familiar with DLH. I don't know that that abbreviation. But I'm learning tonight. There's a lot of things that I do know that I didn't know that I didn't know that I didn't know that I did know. But DLH, send me your information. hobowithwood@gmail.com. hobowithwood@gmail.com. What shirt size you would prefer. And if I have it, I'll send it to you. And if I don't, I'll tell you what I got and you can pick your pick. But DLH, congratulations. hobowithwood@gmail.com. And I'll get that information out. Or I'll get those sent out to you this week. Get it out this Monday. Let's see here. I knew it. I was thinking it, but I did not want to say it, Chris. This is not coming from me. I did not say this, okay? I did not say this. That's not a knife. Oh. So was Crocodile Dundee a hit there at all?
Yeah, it was a pretty big movie.
All right. But yeah, I thought it, but I did not say it. That's not a knife. Let's see here. Oh man. Yeah, no. Sim Turney saying, yeah, we're back to the good old days. 5 hours. Well, no, this was not a plan.
No, it can't be a 5 hour today. The Grand Prix starts in about half an hour.
Yep. We're gonna wrap this up in a minute or two or 12. Wire hanger pieces from the cleaners. Wire hanger pieces from the cleaners. Jim, I'm not quite following you there because I've shifted gears and don't know where you were at when you said what you said. Make a jig and cut. Yeah.
Take the wire hanger, bend the ends and put them through holes. That way you don't need to use any glue.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And then Mark says make a jig and cut the dowels in half with the jig, and that would work with the laser. Yep. Flatten one side on a belt. Yeah. The problem with that though, Jim, is flattening one side with the belt sander. You're wasting half of your material. If you could cut it, now you've got two pieces versus sanding it and having one piece. Oh yeah, and Dale said, yeah, remember you can't use glue. Yep. Need some room on top of the dowel for their little toenails to grip. But if you use the dowels like you did the kerf to where they were spaced equally distance apart, if you did a 10 millimeter dowel with a 10 millimeter space, 10 millimeter dowel, 10 millimeter space, you wouldn't need. They've got room to grab. They're good at grasping and holding on to stuff. So you'd be good there. Sharon says use 2 pieces of wood on either side of the dowel for support and cut with the laser. Yeah. Yep. And the jig would work with even, you can because you can create a jig and put 10 dowels in there and just have it go cut 10 pieces like you do engraving pencils. Be really easy. Mark says, make a pencil. Yeah, exactly. Pencil jig and the cutting the dowels. That would make cutting the dowels in half really, really easy. Craig's asking, can Chris tell us about what he does? I don't know. What do you do, Chris, besides watch YouTube?
I'm a professional YouTube live stream annoyer. No, I'm retired. Into 3D printing, lasers, CNC, just helping anyone that needs it.
But I'm a YouTube annoyer. Well, I've never seen you being an annoyance. But do you pride yourself on being an annoyance?
I'm an Aussie. What can I say?
Yeah, but maybe someone else has seen you contribute to a stream in an annoying way. I've never seen it. You've always been helpful and a beneficial contributor to the stream, and I appreciate you being here. And I'm sure that Clack or Steve or anybody else that sees you in the stream feels the same way. So you're a brother from another mother, a bogan / redneck, and always welcome.
Yeah, I think it's because my comments fill up the chat that I don't get to see much of the others.
Gilroy says another annoyer in the same. An annoyer is the same as an influencer, but from the user end, not the stream's end. Yeah, well, and Craig saying thank you for being Chris, thank you for being you, and thank you for being there and contributing and the feedback. Your information is extremely beneficial because you do a lot with the 3D printing and the lasers, and your experience is greatly appreciated, and your contributions is greatly appreciated. We all see. Chris, Sharon says the same thing. We appreciate all the help you offer us. Yep. Do you have your own YouTube channel yet?
Nah, I'm camera shy.
Well, we thank you for being here tonight, sir. We are honored and privileged.
Besides, I don't want to steal all your users.
I would just be sure to never schedule a time when you were on.
Is there such a time?
Well, there you go. Now that is that would be the problem because he's always online when you weren't streaming. Now I don't mind being against you while you were commenting in another stream, but I would never go heads up against Chris while he was streaming. Yeah, there we go. So what does Chris shirt say? I have, but what does your shirt say? I have my faults, but being wrong isn't one of them. There we go. Awesome. Do you see the do you see? Awesome to see the flesh, Chris, and thanks for all of your input. Yep. So Terry, there's a New Zealander. Now he's from New Zealand. Terry's from New Zealand. Now, do the Aussies and New Zealanders, they get along?
Yeah, pretty much, unless we're taking the piss out of each other.
I didn't know if it was like the Yankees and the Southerners. You kind of butt heads, New Zealanders and Aussies. I didn't know if they were. All right, so he's on his medication. Dale's kicking in. He's out. All right. Well, good night, Dale. All right. So I'm going to
see you, Dale.
I'm going to work on processing another piece of the cedar, making it about twice as thick as what this cedar is, with the new modifications. And then when I feel good about that, I will put that design up on the website, hobowithwood.com. But because it is not done with slots and tabs, because it's flat material, if you're going to need to know that, and when I start my design work, I'm like, okay, what do I know? Well, I know my material is 6 inches wide because it's a 6-inch fence picket. The thickness in this case, I can make the thickness whatever I want it to be. But what I learned putting this prototype together, that 8 mil was a little too thin. I needed it to be thicker than 8 mil. So I'm going to go 10 or 12 and see what happens, and make it a thicker piece. But in order to do that, I've got to expand my material thickness from that design from the inside out, and that minimizes the modifications that I've got to do to a design I've already created. Once I've done that, and I have and made all the other modifications to the roof panel, where that locks in, maybe come up with a better locking mechanism. And if you have a suggestion for a locking mechanism, because I really like the way this pivots, that I like the way this is, but securing this bottom, and I used the additional.
Yeah, I always look at what I've got before I go and buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't use what you got. Don't go buy. And that kind of, I've got plenty of these 10 millimeter bamboo dowel rods. And so I'm like, okay, well, and that works with the symmetry, the dowel rod here and here, just to look at it, it looks okay. But if you've got a better suggestion for locking this, because you want it to be easily accessible to clean out once a year, but you don't want it to be, you clean it out and now it's broke and now you throw the whole thing away because you went cheap in your design, the concept. You want it to be at least a 2 or 3 season piece. You don't want to build this once every year. So I welcome any feedback from the Peanut Gallery on what, and Chris, do you know what the Peanut Gallery is?
Oh yeah, I'm a prime member.
Oh yeah. So and now you don't have to. Now I will tell you, I was born in '69, so I'll be 56 this year, and the Peanut Gallery was before my time.
Yeah, that goes back to Barnum and Bailey days.
Okay, so and here in the U.S., Peanut Gallery was oh, come on, somebody, throw it out there. It was a
Cheap
TV
seats.
show, huh? No,
I thought it was based on them being in the cheap seats.
No, there was a TV show here in the U.S. Come on, somebody, throw it out there at me. Howdy Doody time. Thank you, Dan. Howdy Doody was a TV show that was for the kids, and
you got to go. Howdy Doody.
Yep. If you were lucky enough to be in the studio while they were filming the Howdy Doody TV show, then you were in the Peanut Gallery. You were in the live studio Peanut Gallery for filming your TV show. So it was an honor to be in the Peanut Gallery. But now it's kind of gotten turned around to we're like, hey, okay. No, the Peanut Gallery, like you said, it's kind of like in the cheap seats or whatever. But I encourage feedback and welcome it and want to hear it. What have you got? Let's see here.
One thing with the birdhouse is when a lot of people need to pay attention to when you're working with a specific size, try and do your design from that specific size piece outwards.
Yep. And that's why I said I knew if I had a 6-inch piece, Well, that 4x4 interior, why that was the Audubon suggested minimum size. Well, if I'm only got a 6-inch wide material and I want to keep it also, 15 mil wide, well, if I keep it that and this thick, well, then that's going to alter my interior dimensions using the material I have on hand. It might cost me double to go out and make it so that it meets their interior specifications. But if I've got 4x4 or 6-inch wide material that's this so much, then I can't get that 4x4 or that 100 millimeter interior dimensions. You got to know how to take what you have, work with it, and make it fit what you want it to fit. Hi, Steve. Are you going to have the 2 time slots? Dave, if as long as my life will allow me to get back into a normal time frame, I will continue to do 3 and 9, 3 and 9. We just experienced the daylight savings time where I'm at. So we sprang forward. So it's now, when we went live tonight, I was at 9. It was last week, it was a different time sign. But yes, if my life will get back into normal, I will go back to a 3 p.m. and a 9 p.m., 3 and 9, 3 and 9. But my personal life has dictated my time, and I've not been able to maintain that regular rotation. But my intention is to get back to that very soon, simply because, well, 2 reasons. One, I want to accommodate folks across the pond, and so they're not having to stay up at all hours to watch something at 9 p.m. Eastern when 3 p.m. would work much better for them. But also on the days that I've been doing 3 p.m. is times or time slots that other laserologists are using a later time slot. And I'm trying not to compete with them. I'm trying to be as user friendly for everyone as possible, accommodate as many people as possible. But my personal life has dictated here lately that a lot of mine have been 9, 9, 9, 9, 9 instead of 3. Do something like we did for the paint can holder. Do something like we did for the paint can holder. For what part, Craig? Which part of the crank?
I think he's talking a new project.
Well, it may be a new project or incorporating something we did with the paint can holder with the bird feeder. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? As someone else mentioned, be careful running high power and low speed on these thicker. I do not do that. Be careful running high power, low speed on these thicker pieces, especially for low powered machines trying to cut. Yeah, I don't do that, Brad. I will do multiple passes, sometimes 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 passes instead of doing really low speed at high power. And Chris, what are your thoughts? I find that you get less burning, you get a finer kerf using multiple higher speed passes than low speed at high power, because it burns away so much material.
Yeah, I'll generally use high power on the prototypes and then slow it down to multiple passes for the final.
Yeah. I won't, like here where I'm going to come close to doubling the material thickness in order to get the final piece that I want, but I will not use the same speed and power. I will increase my speed instead of slowing it down and trying to cut, because that slower speed at higher power, that curve just gets bigger and bigger and it burns and burns and burns. You're better off doing multiple passes. locking part. Yeah, Craig says the locking part on that. Still not following, but you know how to get in touch with me, and I value your feedback. When we can figure it out, I'll figure it, because like I said, there's always another way. Always another way.
Is he talking about cutting an L shaped into the sides and then putting tabs on the front to push in and drop down?
Well, and that's kind of what not that dissimilar about someone else made a similar suggestion earlier, to where you can make it to where it would slide up and then slide down and lock in place. And that's not it's not difficult. And I can also see it, and this just dawned on me. Anybody
that'll give you the ventilation slot at the top as well, same time.
Yep. And also it's a non-wearing fit, a non-wearing locking position. There's no additional pieces, no additional material. You extend the base out a little bit so that the face drops down into it. You see, this is why I love to collaborate with people. Different ideas and conceptions. But Sim says, Dave, we have two options. We move to a different time zone, or we just kidnap Steve and bring him to Europe.
Fire it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I learned a lot tonight with some ideas on how to make this better. We got to meet Chris and say hey to Chris. I'm gonna improve this design and then have a final version on hobowithwood.com. But you're going to have to be able to understand how to make it work with your different wood thicknesses. And use the fence pickets. Fence pickets are cheap. They're dirt cheap. You just need to be able to, if you don't have a planer and or a joiner, a lot of elbow grease and sanding, you can make them look good. Anything you'd like to contribute there, Mr. Chris?
Oh, no, but I think I'm finally getting over my camera shyness.
All right, my brother. Well, we're going to call it a night and get out of here. I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate Chris jumping in and saying, hey, this was not kind of what I didn't know what I was going to do, but this was a prototype. I didn't have a finished piece to show you, but we'll continue to develop this, get it online, and I will see you again next week with new videos and new ideas. And if you have an idea or suggestion for what you'd like to see, don't be shy. I don't care if you're a patron or not. Hit me up at hobowithwood@gmail.com, because this was
go gold.
Go gold. There you go. Patreon.com. Go gold. But this was a suggestion. Like I said, I'm not an ornithologist. I don't like birds because they crap all over my stuff. But someone wanted to do a birdhouse. I made them a birdhouse. So if you have an idea or suggestion for a project, or you'd like to see something, or if you'd like to create something together, hit me up. We'll make some time. I don't charge for my ideas or my time. I appreciate all the support. I'm Steve. I'm Hobo with Wood, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Chris, I'm going to get out of here, and I thank you for your time. I thank you for joining in and saying hey to everybody. Say hello, goodbye. How do you say, is there another word other than goodbye in Australia?
Quite a few, but usually just catch ya.
Catch ya. All right. Well, guys, we'll catch ya. I'm Steve. I'm Hobo, and we'll see you in the next stream or the next video. Catch ya. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Night, Chris.
Or morning or evening.
Very good.